Hello, good afternoon. Today while I was out on my walk, I usually go for a walk in the morning, and I was thinking about when I first started homeschooling and now after we've been doing it for several years now. And I thought about what I would have really wanted somebody to tell me before I started. Because everybody seems to go on, oh great, you're going to homeschool, it'll be fantastic. If you talk to other homeschoolers, that's what they'll say. They'll be so excited that you want to join in and that's what you want to do. And they'll give you all these different advice about how great it's going to be and things like that. And they'll tell you like the bad things as well, but they don't usually go into too much depth about, you know, the hard parts. And I really wish that somebody had told me, or at least warned me about the parts that were going to be really tough, and given me a chance to sort of run through those sort of scenarios in my mind about what I would do and things like that. So I thought that maybe I would share with you some of the things that I've learned and the things that I've run into, in hopes that maybe it will help you if you come across similar sort of situations and scenarios. Alright, so one of the things I found really difficult initially was the isolation. I felt like there was nowhere, I had no one to talk to. All day I was like talking to kids, all day, every day. My husband was working long hours. I just didn't have that adult conversation that I really needed. It was probably compounded by the fact that we lived in a different country from all our family and friends, and we were just new in the country, so we hadn't really established those kind of relationships yet. And I'm quite a introverted person. I don't make friends easily. I don't want to go out, and it's a big effort for me to go out and be really social and things like that, because I really enjoy just having my own small set of friends and things like that. But I found that I really was isolated and I was really lonely as well, just talking to my kids all day and waiting for my husband to get home at night. So what I had to do was I had to put on my big girl pants and I had to go make friends, and it was so awkward and it was really difficult. And it was hard. It was so hard at the beginning. Like, I remember going to my first homeschool meeting group thing, and nobody really wanted to talk to me. They were all busy talking to each other. It was like they kind of already knew each other, and I just had to keep saying to myself, I'm going for my kids. I'm going for my kids. I really wanted to make friends as well. I mean, we went to like a beach one day, and I turned up and nobody really talked to me. They were all like friends with each other, and I just sort of sat there, and I felt really lonely, and I was on the verge of tears a lot of the time. And I just thought, you know what, I just got to keep pushing on and pushing on and pushing on. And eventually I found my group of friends. It took a few years, to be honest, to find my group of friends who are just solid friends, and I love them to death. They've been my lifesavers for a lot of the time, and they understand it. They understand the isolation. They understand just wanting some adult conversation a lot of the time. They understand the frustration of trying to teach a child how to read, which is one of my biggest frustrations in life, is teaching kids how to read. But yeah, if you want to combat the isolation, you have to sometimes just put yourself out there and go make friends, and just keep going, keep trying and keep trying, because eventually it pays off, and it makes you so much happier, and it makes your children happier as well, because they have friends and you get to talk with adults. Adult conversation is a big thing. One of the other things that I've struggled with is criticism. It seems when you homeschool, everybody has an opinion and they want to share their opinion with you, whether it's good or bad. Opinions are going to come from everywhere, like in the street, at the supermarket. Everybody's going to want to have an opinion on what you're doing with your children and how you're raising them, especially when you homeschool. And I was not prepared for that. I mean, I was very confident in my decision that that's what we were going to do. We were going to homeschool our kids, and I was very happy with that decision. But I think whenever you hear something enough times, like, you know, it's not good enough, or you're doing something bad, or it's going to be detrimental to your children, as soon as they play the "it's not good for your children" card, it kind of hits somewhere in the back of your mind. You think, oh, am I really making a bad decision for my kids? Because you want all parents, you know, well, most parents anyway, want the best for their children. They're doing the best that they can. And when someone questions whether you're doing the best that you can for your children, it really just strikes a nerve, I think. And I remember my first encounter of this was probably with a family member, and we were at their house and they knew that we were going to homeschool, and they decided that this was the time that they were going to share with me their opinion, and they wouldn't listen to what I had to say back. And they were, I think Oren was probably 4 going on 5 years old at the time, and they were questioning me about what they were going to do for when they want to learn physics and chemistry and things like that. And I'm like, can we just teach them how to read first? And it ended up, I was in tears by the end of the conversation, but they just would not back down. They couldn't listen to reason or anything like that. And that's happened a few other times throughout the past few years, but I've learned that the best way to shut it down is to say, thanks for your opinion, but the topic is closed. I'm not willing to discuss it any further. And they just sort of shut up after that, and that's the best way that I've learned how to deal with it. Some people will listen to reason, but other people, that's not really what they want to do. They just want to share their opinion and not be open to any other kind of ideas, which is really sad because they could probably learn a lot. Homeschooling is not for everybody, but everybody should be able to listen and be respectful of other people's decisions. As long as you're not, hurting your children, beating them up and stuff like that, everyone should be able to parent their children how they feel is best. I've also struggled with people wanting to test my children all the time. When they find out that they're homeschooled, they seem to want to test them. They'll ask them random maths facts. They'll ask them what colours they know, what shapes they know, like basic trivia questions. It's really, really strange. My kids find it amusing, but I find it, I don't know what the word is for how I feel about it. I find it amusing at times, but other times it just really irritates me, and I feel that they are judging me and that they don't feel that I'm doing a good enough job, and they just want to, I don't know why they do it. I really don't know why they feel the need to test my children randomly at random times. So with people judging you, I think this is a big thing, not just in homeschooling, but just in life in general. I've struggled a lot with taking on board a lot what people feel about me. I want people to like me. I think everybody wants people to like them. I don't think that's a bad thing at all, or unusual thing that you want people to like you and you want people to be okay with the decisions that you make. But not everybody is going to agree with you, and not everybody is going to like you, and that's something that you just have to get over get over. And the sooner that you get over it, and the sooner that you stop living your life to try and please other people, the better your life becomes. I know there are many people, many of my friends probably, and I definitely know there are family members that don't agree with the way that we raise our children and the way that we live our life. And I don't really care, to be honest. I don't care anymore. The less that I care about what they think about me, the happier my life is. The only person I care about is what God thinks about how I'm raising my children. I care about what He thinks about how I live my life, and that's the only person I feel like I need to report to is to God. Another thing on judgment, when people are making judgments about you and telling you their opinions and things like that, that's like a one moment for them in their life. They're going to say their opinion, they're going to have their judgment, and then they're going to move on with their life. They're probably not going to think about it again or bring it up again. Well, they might just bring it up, but in their everyday life, it's not going to be a big thing for them, how you're living your life. They probably don't really care, to be honest. But for you, if you take that on board, it's going to eat away at you and eat away at you and eat away at you, and it's going to have so much more power over you than what it is over them. If you just take it on board, think about it, and then just let it go, then it's going to be so much better for you, for your mental health, for your family, and just going to make you so much more happier. So don't care what other people think. If they want to have an opinion that they don't agree with you, that's okay. That's their thoughts. They're entitled to their opinion. But don't let it bother you too much, because it's just a moment in time in their day. Don't let it be a big thing for you. Alright, next up is burnout. I've heard of homeschool burnout. I didn't realize just how bad it could be or what it looked like. I think in my first year of homeschooling, I wanted to do it all. Like, I really wanted to do it all. I wanted to go all the co-ops. I wanted to go do all the activities. I wanted to have this big long schedule, and we were going to do all our maths and our reading and our everything. I wanted to fit it all in, and I wanted to do it every day. It was going to be perfect, and I would not fail. I could not fail because this is what I wanted to do, and this is how it was going to be. And of course that didn't work out very well for anybody in this house in particular. I became very upset and grumpy. I couldn't handle not being successful at what I had wanted to be successful at. I mean, the plan that I wrote was perfect. It looked like the most ideal plan on a piece of paper. But putting it into practice was not so successful. My children didn't learn how I wanted them to learn. They didn't want my schedule. They didn't care too much about my schedule. They needed more time than what I was willing to give them or what I had planned to give them. Some things I thought they were going to understand that concept straight away, but they didn't, and it took weeks for them to get something that I assumed would take them maybe a couple of days, and it just threw off my schedule. I was burnt out. I was trying so hard to do everything that I couldn't do anything. And it was probably at that time when I thought, what the heck am I doing with my life? Why am I doing this? Is this what I really want my life to be like? Is this what I envisioned homeschooling to look like? And it wasn't. It was not even nearly what I imagined. So I had to take a really hard look at myself and what my expectations for myself were, what my expectations for my children were, and sit down and make a more realistic goal and plan. We took a few weeks off homeschool. We took a few weeks off life, really, to be honest. I cancelled everything that we were supposed to be going to. I cancelled schoolwork, I cancelled outings, and we just stayed in and we focused on rebuilding up our strength and rebuilding our family to where it was what I envisioned a lot. To rebuilding our family to what I actually envisioned it to be and not what it was at that moment. So my husband and I sat down and we put together a plan about what we were going to do and how we were going to manage ourselves and our time more effectively and more realistically, to be honest. And it made the biggest difference in the world. And even now, like just last Saturday, we went out again and we got some milkshakes and we reevaluated our plan because we could see, I could feel in myself that I was burning out again and that I needed to reevaluate and come up with a different plan. And that's what we've done, and it's working better. So it's a continual process. As soon as you feel that you're getting overwhelmed and burnt out, just stop. Don't keep going and going and going, because it's just going to get worse and worse. It's not going to get better, it's going to get worse, and you're going to crash and burn, and it is not going to be pretty. Going along with the burnout, one of the main aspects of that is I felt that I was not doing enough, which was silly, to be honest, like looking back. But I think as homeschoolers, I think as a homeschool mum, always feel like I need to prove myself that I'm doing better than what I'm doing better than what a public school could do. Feel like I need to prove that to myself. I need to prove that to my family, to my friends. I need to prove it to the world. That's what I have felt inside myself. But the truth is, I don't need to prove myself to anybody. I know how hard I work. I know how well my children are performing. I know where they're struggling. I'm not naive to the fact that there are areas where they are struggling. And I know that in some areas they're excelling beyond what they could possibly have ever done at public school. None of them are below grade level, but if they were, that probably wouldn't bother me as long as there is progress. I think homeschooling is a big issue because it is such a drastic change from the norm. When you're doing something that is not the norm, the repercussions are the biggest. Because if you just carry along with what has always been done, you're always going to get the same result, and the end result is usually pretty good and pretty average. But what about if you go through homeschool? If you teach your children through homeschool, are you going to be able to do that? Are you going to screw them up? Is this really the best idea for them? I'm not really sure if you can ever combat that feeling of not measuring up or not doing enough. I think that's going to stay with you well, it's still with me now. I think it's probably going to stay with you in some form for the your whole homeschooling career. I don't think that's ever going to go away. I think that's part of being a parent as well. I think as a parent, you always feel hoping that you're doing enough, hoping that you're giving enough cuddles, hoping you're helping them enough, that they're going to be successful in life. It's such a struggle, not just with homeschooling, but with parenting in general, wanting to do enough. And to be honest, I don't think anyone can ever do enough. There's always something or some aspect of parenting or homeschooling where you're going to not be as good as the next person or things like that. As a homeschooler, there's no way that you can give your child everything that they get in public school, and there's no way a public school can give a child everything that they get in homeschool. It's a balance, and it's choosing which is more important to you, and that's just what it is. There are parts of homeschool that are absolutely amazing, and there's some that are not so great. There's parts of public school, private school that are absolutely amazing, and I wish my children could have the opportunity to have that, but homeschooling is better for us. I think one of the ways that I do try and overcome that feeling is to just be aware that I am doing my best. And if I know that I'm doing my best, if I give my best every day, then I know that I'm giving them as much as I possibly can. Some days are not so great and we don't get as much done, or I feel like I've been a bit of a failure that day. Today is one of those days. But on general, if I give it my best, I know that I'm giving my children the best that I can. And that's all that anybody can ask for. Okay, one thing that I actually really struggle with, and I don't know if this will ever change, probably when the kids are a bit older, but one thing I struggle with is the noise. Homeschooling is loud. Like, we live in a small house, there's 4 kids in here, and they're so loud. I think if my kids went to public school or they went to school all day, I would probably quite enjoy the peace and quiet. Yeah, they're so loud. I don't know. If anybody has some ideas on how to stop kids being so loud, let me know, because I would love those ideas. One of the ways that I've sort of combated that is I go out every morning to go for a walk by myself. The kids always, every morning, no matter how long I've been doing this, every morning they say, "Can I go with you? Can I go with you?" And I say, "No, you can't," because I need that time to just have that silence and to think. I can't think with all the noise and the chaos and the craziness. One mum, who's one of my friends, she told me, she's got 10 kids, so I assume that she knows what she's talking about by now. She told me that she wears earplugs like some days. And I thought, that's a flippin' brilliant idea. I should do that. So despite all the hard things about homeschool, it is totally worth it. I wouldn't change it for the world. Even on our most difficult days, I couldn't imagine anything better than being able to be home with my children every day. It's a sacrifice for our family. I don't work. We live on one income. Sorry. We live on one income, and I could go to work. If my children were at school and in daycare, I could go to work and I could bring in a decent amount of money. I have a good college education. I could bring in a good amount of money, and we would be more financially sound. I mean, we're not struggling for money at the moment or anything like that, but an extra $100,000 a year wouldn't go amiss. There's so much joy in homeschooling. I didn't realize that I could experience so much joy. It's like when your child first starts to learn to walk, and you get so excited and everybody's cheering, and it's just amazing. But I get to have those moments every single day, well, almost every single day. Like when my daughter learned how to read, she finally got it and it clicked, and it just made my heart burst with so much pride, because it was not just her accomplishment, it was my accomplishment as well. We had worked so hard to learn how to read. We had gone over and over for months and months and months at a time, just practicing all those little baby steps to get to the point where she could read fluently. And she read her first chapter book, and she was so proud, and I was so proud of her. I was so proud of myself that we'd finally done it. And it's the same for every one of my children. Every step that they make in their education is a huge step for me as well. It's a huge achievement for both of us. I enjoy watching my children interact with each other and love on each other. I enjoy watching them have those moments over and over and over again every single day. They have this relationship with each other that is so strong, and they are each other's best friends. And that's what I wanted for my family. I came from a very confusing family. I was raised by a single mum for most of my life. My mum remarried when I don't know my biological father. My mum remarried when I was 14, and all I wanted was that perfect little family where you loved your siblings. And I didn't. I hated my siblings, like my step siblings. We hated each other. It was brutal. We like each other now, but we hated each other then. And all I wanted was this family where there's a mum and a dad and the kids loved each other, and it was just perfect. I'm not saying it's perfect at our house every day, because it's not. It's crazy most days. But on a whole, I got what I wanted. And I'm so happy that I get to do that every single day. This is my little family, and it's my little nest egg. And yeah, it just makes me happy. I love all the opportunities that my children get. They get to see the world in a whole different way. They get so much exposure to different people, different places, different things, that it just makes it so much more worth it. These are opportunities they would never be able to get in public school, and we get to experience them together. We've travelled the world together. We've gone overseas for months at a time together. We've just made so many memories together as a family. And even, it doesn't have to be anything big. It's just like the little moments. And that's what life is made up of. It's all those little moments. And I'm so glad that I get to have those all the time. Not just for the few hours after school. I'm glad that my husband gets to see our children for hours and hours a day. Not just, you know, for dinner time and to put them to bed if he's lucky. So yeah, I hope this video was good for you. If you liked it, make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thank you.